You know what? I need to grab my computer. What up, Instagram? Okay. Welcome. All right. There we go. Okay. Welcome to the live chat. Today's masterclass topic. Why we stay in that dysfunctional relationship and how to stop the cycle. And waiting for, okay, come in. Live on Instagram and on Facebook. There we go. Okay, hold on, just making sure I got everything I need open to do this discussion. Come on in. And you can answer the question, how many times have you said, I'm going to end this relationship? This relationship is ridiculous and I'm not happy, only to find yourself dealing with him again. Come on. Come on in. All right. Just making sure we are good to go. Okay. And can you hear me? Live on Instagram and live on Facebook. I just want to make sure that you can hear me. And I am going, okay, hold on. Welcome. Yep, there we go. And one more, I just want to check. Hi, welcome, come on in. Today's topic is why we stay in that dysfunctional relationship and how to stop this cycle. We are going to be discussing this over the next hour. And Brittany, I'm so proud of you. Good job, girl. Good job. So come on in and I want you to answer this question. How many times have you said, I'm going to end this? This is that relationship. And you're like, this is ridiculous. I'm not happy. I'm going to end this, only to find yourself still dealing with the same guy. Or maybe it's a different guy, but it's the same dysfunctional relationship. So you can go ahead and answer that question. I'm just going to check one more thing and we're going to go ahead and get into the topic today. What up, Instagram? I'm live on Instagram and on Facebook. It's today's part 1 of my masterclass series. I have dogs and they are barking. Yay. Okay, it's part 1 of my masterclass. My masterclass is titled The Key Strategies to Dodging a Dysfunctional Relationship. And this is part 1, okay? And so over the next 40 minutes, we are going to have this topic today. We're going to be talking about why we stay in that dysfunctional relationship and how to stop this cycle, okay? And just checking one more thing, as I said. Okay, my internet is acting a fool. Oh, there we go. Okay, I just want to check one more thing and then we can get rolling. You can also answer this question. How many times have you said, I'm going to end this? This being a relationship, okay? So this is in the context of you, woman, in a relationship with a man, okay? So how many times have you said, I'm going to end this? This relationship is ridiculous, I'm confused, and I'm unhappy. You said that, only to find yourself still dealing with that same guy. Or a different guy, the same type of dysfunctional relationship. You can go ahead and drop the word end in the chat. I want to know if that's you. I want to get to know you. Is that you? You can go ahead and drop N-E-E-N-D in the comments if that is you. Okay, just checking one more thing. Okay, there we go. Okay, so again, welcome. My name is Reka. I'm a certified NLP life coach, and that's me. I'm the host of Single You, the podcast, and the founder of Single You Academy. And who are my clients? My clients are professional women in their 30s and 40s, single women who want to stop the cycle of dysfunctional relationships without that like icky feeling, the overwhelm of feeling bad for saying no and setting a boundary. Because how many times have you tried to set a boundary and then it doesn't stick, okay? In today's conversation, again, this is my key strategies to dodging a dysfunctional relationship masterclass. It's part one. It's going to be a series over the next couple of weeks, but we'll just talk about the next 40 minutes, okay? So I want this to be a conversation. So when I'm asking questions, I would love for you to answer them. It helps me get to know you. And also, if you have any questions, if anything comes up for you and you're like, yo, I have a question, definitely type it in the comments and I will get to them as we move along. But the first thing I want to know is, can you hear me? If you're watching on Facebook and on Instagram, I'm live on Instagram and live on Facebook. And I just want to know, can you hear me? Hold on, there we go. Make myself a little bit bigger over here on Facebook. And just say yes, type it in the comments if you can hear me. And then obviously we can move along. So as you're coming in, I see you're coming in. Welcome to my key strategies to dodging a dysfunctional relationship, a masterclass series. Today is part one. And today's topic is why we stay in that dysfunctional relationship and how to stop the cycle. Okay, thank you, Facebook user. So on Facebook, I'm live on StreamYard. And so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to the link. You're watching the video, and in the description here on Facebook, you have to click the link that says give StreamYard permission for Reka to see your name. Otherwise, your name is going to be Facebook user. So Randy, I see you and you said yes. Yay. Facebook user. I'm not sure what your name is, and that's okay. If you don't want me to see your name, just so you know, I will have to call you Facebook user for the rest of the 40 minutes that we're together. But if you do want me to see your name and not call you Facebook user because you have a beautiful name your mom gave you, I'm sure, go ahead and go. So here's the video. In the description, there's a link and it says give StreamYard permission for Reka to see your name or something like that. So if you could go ahead and click that, and then that way I can see your name as we move along. Okay. All right. So again, welcome to my key strategies to dodging a dysfunctional relationship. This is part one in my masterclass series. That's what I'm going to do. So you can see my whole face, and then we'll get to the questions. This is part one in my masterclass series, okay? And today's topic is specifically about why we stay in that dysfunctional relationship. When I say that, dysfunctional relationship, why we stay, are you thinking of a man? Is it one guy? Or are you thinking of, well, I've been with a few guys, one or two, and the relationship has been the same. It's been the same old, that dysfunction. So if you could type one in the comments or a few, and this is a safe zone, there's no judgment here. I have been there, so I'm just trying to get to know you. So I know that I am providing you with content that is going to help you because you signed up for this masterclass for a reason. And I want to make sure that you understand what page we're on. Okay. And I want to make sure I understand what page you are on. So when I say dysfunctional relationship, are you thinking of one guy? Or is it like, well, it's been different guys, but unfortunately it's been the same old in this dysfunctional, toxic, unhappy, lies and manipulation type of relationship, right? Okay, thank you, Randy, for answering that question. Hi, Instagram. I'm live on Instagram and here on Facebook, okay? All right, so my name is Reka, like I said, and I am a life coach. I'm a certified life coach. I'm the host of Single You, the podcast, which is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. And so who do I coach? Well, I coach single women in their 30s and 40s, and a lot of them happen to be single moms, okay? So I coach those women, and I help them stop the cycle of dysfunctional relationships. And I also help them see yourself. My clients, I help you discover your worth so that you can stop tying your worth and identity to men. So that is what I do, okay? All right? So if you want to hear more, you are in the right place. So let me go back to sharing my page because I have a question for you. And this is my first question, and this is where the conversation begins. So let's go. We have started. Hopefully you brought a pen and a notepad. No, I did. And don't forget, if you have any questions or comments or whatever, definitely drop them in the comments. So this is my first question. How many times have you said, I'm going to end this? This relationship is ridiculous and I'm not happy, only to find yourself still dealing with him? You can type end in the comments. And I'll read that again for you on Instagram since you can't see it. How many times have you said, I'm going to end this? You're fed up in this relationship. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know there's got to be better. You want to end it. And then you find yourself still dealing with that same guy. How many of you can say that? You could drop end, E-N-D, in the chat, in the comments. I don't know if I call it, like, do you call it chat or comments? I don't know. But I would love to read your answers, okay? Next question. How many times have you written off guys only to find yourself 2 months later, 6 months later in the same type of dysfunctional relationship? Does that resonate with you? Again, you're just like, ugh, forget guys, or forget that guy if it's one guy, like for you, Randy. And then you find yourself back in that same type of relationship. You can drop the word off in the chat if this is you. Hey, Heaven, thank you for your comment. You're fed up. You're sick of this. You're thinking, is this a relationship? Are relationships supposed to be like this? But then you go back. But then you go back. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, next question. Do you want to stop that? That cycle of a dysfunctional relationship, is that something that you want to stop? You can type stop in the chat. That dysfunctional relationship. This is what, unfortunately, I've been in this relationship as well. And actually, I'm going to tell you my story coming up here. But where he F's up, maybe disrespects you, cheats on you, does something. So then you break up with him. But then he comes back 2 days later, a week later, 2 months later. I'm sorry. He apologized. He bought you flowers. He says all of the right things, the things that you want to hear. Baby, I love you. Oh, I love you. That phrase, right? And you fall for it every time, and then you're back. And then you're back in that relationship, either with the same guy or a different guy, but it ends up being the same. Perfect. Thank you, Heaven. So here we go. So why is that? Why do you think that is? Like when you think about how you deal with relationships and these relationships you've been in and that guy that you're thinking about when I'm talking, why do you think that is? Why? I just want to know if is that something that you think about when you're laying up at night and you're trying to get over him and you're crying over this guy who does not know how to treat you the way that you want to be treated. Do you ever think about why? You can type yes in the chat or no in the chat, or I have, but I can't figure it out. I'm just looking up one more thing. You are, okay. Because I thought about that when I was in my dysfunctional relationship. And I'm going to tell you why I stayed, okay? Because that's what we're here to talk about, why I stayed in that relationship. And this is going to help you, because in my story, I'm sure you will be able to see you and you will start learning your whys on why maybe you stayed in this relationship. And if something resonates with you, I would love to hear that. Again, if you have any questions as I'm telling my story, feel free to drop them in the chat as well. I will try to get to them as we move along, okay? So what I am going to, how we're gonna talk about why you stay in that relationship is I'm going to share my story and tell you about a relationship that I was in that was extremely toxic. And you will see through the story how there was a lot of manipulation and there was that revolving door of just dysfunction in this particular relationship. And every time I tell the story, I always think about the time. I want you to think about when we could be in clubs, right? Before COVID, when we could be in a club atmosphere. And this particular ex lived in Atlanta and I live in Seattle, and I would go visit him all the time. And he worked at a club. And I decided that I was gonna go hang out with him because I'm in Atlanta. This is a city I don't live in. You're my boyfriend, so I'm gonna go hang out with you while you're at work. He worked at a club. He was actually a bodyguard. And I remember like driving to the club with him, right? Because we drove one car, obviously. And when we got there, this is what he asked me. So what I need you to do is I need you to go sit at the bar so I can watch you because I want to see how you turn down men. He asked me to do that. Now, this relationship I was in from 2015 to 2017. And unfortunately, where I was, my mindset at that time in my life, I did it. I did it. I went and sat at the bar and let him watch me turn down men. Okay. And the reason why he asked me to do that is because throughout our whole relationship, the thread was that I was sneaky and that I was a cheater. And he accused me of cheating all the time. If a guy said hi to me in Safeway, if my phone rang and it was a guy friend, I'm sneaky, I'm a cheater. And at that time, here's a reason why I stayed. At that time, I thought, oh, I'm a good woman. All I have to do is prove to him that I'm a good woman and he'll shut up. How many of you can relate to that? Trying to prove yourself to a man, like, no, I'm a good woman. It's cool. Like we good here. Love me. Let me try to serve my way into your heart. That's where my mindset was at that time. And I'm going to tell you when we get to the end what my mindset is now. Because this Reka would not have been that Reka from 2017 to 2015 to 2017. Yeah, Randy. Yep, it's resonating. Yeah, heaven. Yeah. So that's one reason why we stay, right? Because, oh, well, all I got to do is do this, this, and this, and then he'll be the perfect guy, right? So again, so I'm at the club and I remember being like super embarrassed and super confused. And I remember thinking, here's another reason why we stay. I remember thinking like, is this allowed? Like, are relationships like this? So does he get to set the rules? Or like I was so confused. I was having a conversation with myself like, oh, okay, so if I want to be with men, they get to set the rules. And so I want to be who he wants me to be. So then let me do X, Y, and Z. Does that resonate? There's a lot of confusion. Like you don't understand the difference between a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship. Like what is, because, married people say, oh, marriage is hard all the time, right? So us single people are like, okay, well, marriage is hard, cool. So he can cheat on me, he can manipulate me, he can lie to me because relationships are hard. No. Like you don't know the difference between healthy hard versus toxic. That's where I was. And I have an eyelash in my eye that I'm trying to get out. Oh, so excuse me, trying to wipe it. Okay, yeah, so you've been there, right? So that was another reason why I stayed, because there was a lot of confusion because nobody had a conversation with me about what makes a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship. I grew up in a 2-parent household. My parents are still married to this day. I love them. They're super cute. I'm a Christian, grew up in the church. Went to Howard University. I thought I was a smart girl. But from 2015 to 2017, I was so confused. I was not a smart girl in that 2-year frame. But what happened is because, listen, despite all that, despite having the 2-parent household, going to Howard University, all of that, because I didn't have a clear definition of what makes a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship, I stayed because I'm going to figure it out with this guy. That's what we do. We just figure it out together. Can you relate to that? Randy, heaven, is this resonating with you? So that's 2 reasons why we stay. That's two, and we're going to go through more. So the one was trying to prove your worth to him, right? I'm just going to make sure I go over everything. You're trying to prove your way into his heart. Like, oh no, I'm a good woman. And then also you have confusion because you don't understand the difference between healthy healthy hard versus toxic. Okay. Okay, I love that. Okay, so then also that being in the club with him, right? He basically was showing me who he was in the beginning. So when I got with this ex of mine, there was a moment where he asked me to unfriend a lot of my friends. And one in particular, his name was Scott. And like I said, the thread through our whole relationship, he was constantly accusing me of things that I never did. And those are my dogs. Yay, they're barking at the wind. Awesome. Yay, there we go. Okay. He constantly was accusing me of cheating and being sneaky. And so I literally called my friend Scott in front of my ex to tell him we couldn't be friends anymore because, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, my boyfriend, he's not comfortable with it. So I just, I can't be friends with you anymore because my boyfriend doesn't like it. Now that makes me want to throw up. That woman that I was, again, between the years of 2015 to 2017. And again, I did it because I was trying to prove to him that, look, I'm not sneaky. I'm not a cheater. And another reason why we stay is because we think he sets the rules, right? Like, okay. So he believes that you can't have male friends in a platonic relationship. He believes that. So, okay, I guess I'll just believe that too. And I'll do what he asked me to do. So you do it. So we stay because we don't even know who we are, right? And we're holding on to this thought of, well, I need to be in a relationship because the goal in life is to get married and have kids for women, right? That's what they teach us growing up as little girls. Like, this is the goal. So you stay because you're trying to get that goal. At least that was me. So I was with him. I think I got with him at like 32. I'm about to be 38 in June. Shout out to my cancers. June 29th is my birthday. But at that age, I was like, oh my God, I'm not married yet and I don't have any kids. So I must force my way. I must make this relationship work because I have to get to the goal. How many of you feel that? Like, does that resonate with you? Like, you feel like society puts this pressure on you as a woman to be in a relationship because being single is the worst thing on this planet. So, oh God, girl, you better be, where your man at? That's why all your aunties, your grandmas, and everything, they ask you every time you go to the cookout, every time you go to their house. So where's your husband? Where's your man? Can you relate to that? So after I got out of that relationship, okay, and Heaven, I see your question. So what are healthy compromises? Okay, so I'm going to use the story of when he had me, tell my male friends that we couldn't be friends anymore. Here's the thing: if I would have known going into that relationship that I believe that men and women can have platonic relationships, then I wouldn't have let him set the rule of our relationship and then me execute that. So that's something you have to define for you. And we're actually going to go into that, right? Like, you have to know, there are certain things that you have to know about you and yourself before you get into relationships. Because if you don't know that, then he will set the rules. Because you'll be like, well, this is relationships. No. A relationship is how you want to define it, not how, let me see how the world defines it and he defines it and then let me conform. Because that's how I was dating before. And that's why I stayed. Because I'm like, well, the world and men are my mirror. So I have to listen to what they're saying. And I need to ask them, is this okay? Is this not okay? I mean, how many think pieces and blogs and gurus, relationship gurus, are telling people this is what you do in a relationship and this is what you don't do. And he needs to pay on the first date. And then some are like, no, he don't. There's Too much confusion out there. You have to define who you are first before you get into a relationship. So then when something does come awry, like you need to cut off your friends from me, you can be like, nope, that's not the relationship I want. So I'm cool. So in 2017, he actually ended up breaking up with me, saying he couldn't trust me, which was ironic because I found out a few months later he was actually cheating on me the whole time. Which, if you've never heard the definition of projection, that's called projection. The one screaming the loudest about something they don't like, it's because they do it. So a man who accuses you or doesn't like when you go out with your girlfriends, and he's always accusing you of being sneaky and cheating, it's because he's doing it. Can you relate to that? Where men are always accusing you or don't like it when you go out with your girlfriends or don't want you to talk to men. And you do it because you think, okay, well, I guess this is relationships. So again, we'll just go over it one more time. Reasons why you stay in these dysfunctional relationships. One, you're trying to prove your worth to a man. No, I'm worthy. I'm a good woman. You should love me. And so I'm going to stick around until you love me the way I want you to love me because I love you. I just want you to remember that love an action word. It's not a feeling. And just because a man says he loves you doesn't mean he does. He actually only loves you at the capacity of his self-care and his self-love. And when he is manipulating you and lying to you, it's because he got a lot of demons and he's trying to work them out on you. That's trauma that he has to figure out on his own. And that should be a requirement. If I'm going to date you, you have to have your traumas worked out with you and your therapist, not me and you. I'm not helping you with that. Okay, so why we stay in these dysfunctional relationships, I'm just going to go through the three. We want to prove our worth to men. We don't know the difference between healthy hard versus toxic. Is this resonating with you? Is this helping you? Sarah, Heaven, Randy. Hey, Instagram, I'm live on Instagram and Facebook. All right, and the third reason why you stay is because you feel like that's the goal. Society has put this pressure on me, so I need to be in a relationship in order to feel whole. Okay, so how I stopped this cycle. So again, he broke up with me, and thank God he did, because I know that I was supposed to break up with him. I heard God say that he was not the one for me in the beginning of the relationship, but unfortunately, with some of the points that we went through, those are the reasons why I stayed. So he broke up with me, and I was extremely, extremely, extremely proud of myself because I was actually in Atlanta at that time, and when he broke up with me, I changed my ticket that day and I flew home, and I knew that I had to have a meeting with myself because I was like, I'm not going to go through this again. This can't be relationships. And if it is, then I guess I just won't be in one. I knew that I didn't want to be bitter, but I'm like, this can't happen again. Like, this is ridiculous. Why do I keep attracting these men? Now, that was the longest dysfunctional relationship I have been in. But I kept dating those same type of guys. And I didn't want that anymore. So I had to figure out, how can I not do this anymore? I don't want to be in this cycle of dysfunction. And really, I don't want to be anybody's girlfriend anymore. Like, if we gonna do this, and if I'm dating for marriage, then we're gonna do this. It's not gonna be like, well, let's see. So what did I do to stop it? I actually went on a solo trip December of 2017. I went to Mexico all by myself. If you've seen the movie Eat, Pray, Love, I got the idea from the movie Eat, Pray, Love, which is like one of my favorite movies. It's on Netflix if you've never seen it. And she went on a whole year excursion. I didn't have money to do a year, but I did 10 days in Mexico. And there were 3 questions I asked myself. Who does God say I am? Who do I say I am? And how do I want to show up in this world from now on? because I knew that what he was calling me, everything under the sun but a child of God, wasn't me. And I had to go sit with myself because I had to forgive the woman that I was in that relationship, because I was not the woman who I thought I was. Because before that relationship, raise your hand if you're like, yeah, I'm a strong, independent woman. I got this. Ain't no man about to da 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 da. But then this one comes along and he treats you like yesterday's trash. And you're like, I thought I wasn't this woman. And so now you're mad at you for being in that relationship. You're mad at him for treating you like trash. And now you're confused. And now you cry yourself cry yourself to sleep at night, wondering why, how, asking yourself all these questions. Yeah, that was me. So I'm going to explain to you my 4 pillars to living a successful single life. And I hope you have a pen and paper, because this is what I truly believe that you have to have. This is the mindset you have to have before you ever date again. Because every relationship that you have, whether it's kids, men, parents, or whatever, it starts with you. So if they're dysfunctional, you have a lot of questions you need to be asking you. And the first question you need to ask yourself is, who am I? Who am I? I'm actually going to blow this up for you. There we go. You have to know who you are and the why behind it, outside of and deeper than your favorite color. Or I like to sleep with the fan at night. You need to know your triggers, what you will put up with and not. And by knowing your triggers, you will know how to create yourself a safe life and a safe space. So who are you? Do you know who you are? Type yes, no, or sort of in the comments. Do you know your values? Do you know what you stand for? Do you know what you can and cannot handle? Do you know your triggers? Do you know your childhood trauma? Have you met your inner child? So you can type yes, no, or sort of in the chat. That's good. Good, Heaven. When you say working on it, Heaven, what are you doing to work on it? What does that look like? What does the working on it look like? I'm just curious, just to get to know you. And as you're answering that, I will move on to the second pillar. So once you know who you are and the why behind it. So this is what I did when I was in Mexico on that solo trip. I was like, I had to see myself again. I had to go on this journey of forgiving the woman I was when I was in that relationship, because I was not the woman who I thought I was. I wasn't her, not in that relationship. And I had to figure out why. Why would I allow this? What happened? What? So it was me and Jesus, Christmas of 2017 in Mexico on the beach. It was the best Christmas ever, I'll tell you. All right, number 2, know what you want and how to get it. Because here's the thing, listen, if I were to ask you what kind of relationship you wanted, of course you would say, oh, a healthy one. I want him to be open. I want him to be secure. I want him to be a man's man. I want him to love me. I want him to be emotionally there. I want to have deep conversation. You would say that. But how do you get it? How do you get that? Do you know? And I'm going to say no because you're here, right? You signed up for the masterclass. So I'm going to say, yeah, you may know what you want. You just don't know how to get it. So that's number 2. Number 3, once you know who you are, your whys behind it, once you know what you want and how to get it, you have to have the audacity to believe you can get what you want. What do I mean by that? Society has told you you're too picky. That's not going to work. Why are you asking for that? Men like that don't exist. So then you settle for boo boo the fool. Because, well, he's the one who says he likes me. He's the one who's buying me flowers. He's the one who's here. Something that I want you to write down or say to yourself over and over again, put it on a sticky note, put it on your mirror. Another guy will like me. Because what happens is we're in these relationships and in this cycle and we're thinking like, well, this is the only guy who's going to like me. This is the only guy who's going to like me, so I'm stuck. Or I don't want to start all over. I don't want to start all over. Oh my God, it's so hard to find a guy that I actually like. I love that, Heaven. Good for you. I'm just reading your comment. That's beautiful. So once you know who you are, your why's behind it, what you want and how to get it, you have to have the audacity to believe you can get what you want. Because if you don't, you will settle. You will settle because your thinking pattern that you have is, well, if I hit 45 and I'm single, life is over. I must be, what do they call us? Cat ladies, old maid. People think that single people are miserable. I'm really happy. Happily single. That's my tagline. Because again, that's what society has taught us. Like, life is not worth living unless you got somebody to live it with in a romantic sense. I'm like, shoot, do you know how many friends I got to live this life with? All right, number 4, and then you must have the patience to wait for it. And as you are going through these 4 pillars, it's not a 1-sentence answer. It's not something you're going to do in 2 days. If you don't cry while you're going through this journey, I would argue you're not doing it right. And eventually you'll get to the point where you're like, yeah, I got the patience to wait for it. I'm cool. So when we going to Rio, we going to Jamaica, and you'll start planning your life and designing the life that you actually want to live. Because you can still live a successful single life. Right now, you're living an unsuccessful single life. Oh, you know what? And this is supposed to be a 4. I have it as a 3. Right now, I would argue because you signed up for this masterclass, you are living an unsuccessful single life. So you got to work on your mindset about where you are in your life. And I want you to know who you are. I want you to discover your worth so that you can stop tying your worth and identity to men, which will then help you stop the cycle of dysfunctional relationships without being so icky or feeling so uncomfortable with setting a boundary and saying no. Because how many of you feel uncomfortable or feel mean or bad when you set a boundary? You can type me in the comments. You feel bad when you try to set a boundary. You feel mean, or am I allowed to do that? You got to stop judging your feelings. Yeah. Thank you for your honesty, guys. You got to stop judging your feelings. That's your inner, that's your soul, your God voice telling you, what, I don't like this. You judge yourself for wanting to draw a line. It does not mean to say no to anybody. Because again, I would ask you, okay, well, what is the definition of mean? You got to define that for you. You know, maybe passing up a starving child and I have like this big old hamburger and I don't share my food. That's mean. But telling a guy you don't like that, that's just setting a boundary because you know who you are. So you see how, like, if you don't know who you are, you're going to end up in this cycle of dysfunctional relationships because you're going to allow him and society define these things for you instead of it coming from you. And when you let outside things influence the way that you act, whoo, that's a recipe for disaster, because how's that working out for you? All right, so I'm just going to go over these last points as we end the masterclass here. And if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the comments and I will answer them. What up, Jason? I'm live on Instagram and Facebook. So as I told you the club story about being in that toxic, dysfunctional relationship with my ex, right? The woman I was then, what I was thinking was, is this allowed? Oh, so men set the rules of relationships? Okay, so I have to do this. Okay, so then if I do this, he'll just shut up and then we'll be in a happy relationship, because this is what people mean by relationships are hard. Oh, okay. Like, that's what I was thinking. Like, okay, because I have to make this relationship work, because I don't want to be single, because I'm sick of my freaking grandmother and my aunties. I literally had a whole aunt tell me single is not sustainable. A whole aunt, but so of course I'm in these relationships, this relationship that isn't working, because you never told me how to get a healthy relationship, but told me that single wasn't sustainable. So here I am, because God forbid I make it to 72 single. I make it to 45 single. So that's what I was thinking. When I got out of that relationship, I was like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I got to figure out how to never do this again, because I will never be treated like that again. I was angry. And I had to forgive the woman that I was in that relationship, because I wasn't the woman that I thought I was. Even though maybe with other guys I was able to set a boundary, but with this guy, for some reason, oh, by the way, he was fine. Oh my God. To me, the finest man I had ever laid my eyes on. So, oh my God, that's another reason why I was in that dysfunctional relationship. I couldn't believe he liked me. What? So I had to work on that self-esteem. So that's what I was thinking when I got out of it. And then I went on that healing journey, right? I went to Mexico by myself and started asking myself questions so I could know who I was and the whys behind it, deeper than my favorite color, my triggers, how I could have been toxic, why I would be that type of woman in that relationship. I had to go through that journey. Then I had to figure out what I wanted and define things for me and figure out how to get it. And now I have the audacity to believe that I can get whatever I want. One of the things that I won't date men with kids. I don't do that. I used to. My ex had a kid because I felt bad, because society told me, girl, you ain't gonna find no man in his 30s without kids. So now I have the audacity to answer that rebuttal with, oh, so you met everybody on this planet? And honestly, the birth rate has been going down since the 80s. So, because now I have the audacity, and you know why I don't want to date men with kids? Well, there's a lot of reasons why, but one of them, I just don't want to. And I'm allowed to want and not want what I want. But people will make you feel bad and tell you you're too picky. So then that scares you. And so you'll just take the next guy who says, I love you. And remember, this is supposed to say for, and then the patience to wait for it. So now I have the patience, because I am not saying, if that is relationships, when I settle, I'm cool. I'll be single for the rest of my life before I ever settle again. And that's okay, because I'm going to be that rich traveling auntie, right? Okay. Okay. So was this helpful? Was this helpful? You can type yes in the chat. Hopefully you'll type yes, not no. Was this helpful? I want to know if this is helpful. And do you have any questions for me? Let me do this. There we go. So yeah, I just want to know if this was helpful to you. And then also I'm going to be going to, tomorrow as you're typing. So I just want to know. All right, Heaven, thank you. I'm going to tell you tomorrow. There's part 2 of the Masterclass series, which is dodging dysfunctional relationships. And I am looking for my list right now. I should have had this up. Just so you can know tomorrow's topic. Okay, stand by. Okay, so tomorrow I'm actually going to be going live here at noon Seattle time, which is 3 p.m. New York time. And I really wish I had, okay, there we go. All right, so tomorrow's topic. All right, so tomorrow, why a man doesn't have to lie to you to be with you. If you like him enough, you'll lie to yourself just to be with him. Why a man doesn't have to lie to you to be with you. Because if you like him enough, you'll just lie to yourself just to be with him. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. And if you need more, I don't want to leave you hanging. Okay. So I am going to show you, because I do have a podcast. So if you need more conversations like this, right? Because it's all about sharpening your iron and making sure you are surrounded by the voices that you need to be hearing. So if you want to be somebody who, if you need to hear that singleness is not a punishment and that you're worthy regardless of your relationship status, then my podcast is for you. Okay. So if you need more, if you can't wait till tomorrow, and you're like, I will be back tomorrow, but can I get some maybe for tonight? If you're driving, cleaning your house, you just want to listen to a podcast. If you're a podcast listener, all you have to do is go to singleyouacademy.com and you can actually, on this page, scroll down and you can listen here. Or if you have Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, it's on all streaming platforms wherever you listen. All you have to do is search Single You the Podcast, okay? And if you wanted to get more on my coaching program, which is Single You Academy, all you have to do is go to singleyouacademy.com, and here is the information on that, okay? And of course, if you have any questions, I am available by DM. Girl, you can slide into my DM if you need to. And if you have a question, Randy, if you have a question, go ahead and hit me up in my Facebook DM or on Instagram, and I will try to answer to the best of my abilities. And other than that, any questions? And if not, I will see you tomorrow at noon. Like I said, we are going to be talking about why a man doesn't have to lie to you to be with you. If you like him enough, you'll just lie to yourself. Raise your hand if you're like, that's kind of true. Oh my God, why do I do that? That's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. And I know there's a bit of a delay, so I'm just trying to stall here to see if you have any questions. All right. Yeah, Heaven. Yep. All right. So DM me if you have any questions. Other than that, you have a good look. I wanted to do 40 minutes and I went like 10 minutes over, but that's okay. If you have any questions, send me a DM. Other than that, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.